So let's separate what we're about to talk into, okay? There are two kinds of mods. Mods where you enhance your gameplay by adding new things such as quests, graphics, new playstyles, all that kind of stuff, all that good fun. And then there are mods where you destroy video games online and you get unfair advantages, all that kind of stuff. We're not talking about the latter half, we're talking about the mods that enhance gameplay experience. Before we begin, if you're one of those video game hackers who go online, and just hack around for the extra experience points and killing everyone around you unfairly, and get your rocks off to it while shitting on everyone verbally and in any other fashion, then you're probably the same type of fuck. As you can tell, I'm probably a little jaded because I just played an online match and had to deal with a lot of hackers. But that being said, it's not what the video's fucking about. I'm sorry about that tangent. But I also had that tangent for another reason. It's because, as always, in my messages, in any other fashion, I had somebody actually contact and say, video game modding is bad. In fact, video game modding is not the way developers intend for you to ever play the game. And for them to ban you, such as in the case Dark Souls bans you if you ever use any kind of a mod, and you're online with it, God forbid, they'll actually VAC-man you off the freaking PC side of it. And they should get away with it. And here's where I differ, okay? And I don't understand why people hate modding. And maybe it's because I have a different perspective on gaming, I don't know. But let's go back in time. When I was a kid, I started out really gaming on the PC. One of the first few games that I've ever had my hands on was Doom. And why am I telling you that I played Doom? Well, back in the day, I still have this disc actually. This disc in question that I'm talking about is a disc that contains 150 modded levels for Doom. I ended up actually picking it up for about, well, not me, but my parents ended up getting it for about $1.50 at a store one time. And this disc showed me that I could actually get past what the initial Doom was and play a whole bunch of player-created levels, 150 for exact, and enhance my playtime almost quadruple than I had in the original game. And I remember that disc very, very, very acutely way back in the day. And as time went on, as more and more I got into a little bit of PC gaming with the scrappy computer that I had, I actually modded a fair bit of my games, and modded them in many ways, almost creating new ones entirely. Hell, I even remember one summer playing Grand Theft Auto Vice City with a total conversion zombie mod, and really enjoying it. And when I got this individual telling me in all 30 seconds that they wrote that video game mods were bad and I should probably feel bad for using them, I don't feel bad for using them. So let's discuss why modding isn't bad, okay? First of all, the modding community keeps the game healthy, alright? For example, if we look back in 2012, 2013-ish, 2011 I think, when DayZ was out, that actually resurged the sales for the Arma series. Hell, games like Elder Scrolls Skyrim, or any Elder Scrolls in general, is alive and healthy to this day because of mod support. Grand Theft Auto 4 to this day is one of the most played games on PC because of its really amazing mod support. People to this day are still creating ENB series graphic mods for it and gameplay mods for it, to the point where they're even changing the entire playstyle of the game itself. For example, there's an amazing Watch Dogs mod on PC's Grand Theft Auto 4 that literally turns the game almost feature full to Watch Dogs, and it actually plays really well. You can play through the entire game in a nearly different fashion, and it works for the most part. That is really amazing stuff to have in 3 on the Sony PlayStation 3 device, where you could actually install customized mods for it, and usually I think it was just player skins, but mods nonetheless onto the game, and play Unreal Tournament 3 modded. And that was actually really impressive. But see what's going on nowadays with the whole lockdown that the next generation systems have gone to, modding is going to be pretty heavily regulated, let's be honest about that. There's not going to be a whole lot of openness to modding. Nobody wants you screwing around with game code, especially with these systems when, if you really know how to, in fact right now even the PS4 is on the verge of, going into hacks. You can do piracy on the device anyways. Nobody wants to open anything up to you. In fact, the PS3 suffered suffered severe lockdowns after a isolated incident with security problems. But regardless, modding is alive and healthy on the PC, and I have no idea why many people consider this to be a bad thing. I want to ask people in the comments below. I'm sure there's a lot of people in the Ordinary Gamers community that is PC-centric, and they're PC gamers in general, and with PC gaming, you know, they are very much into mods. You know, for a lot of people who think developers don't intend for you to play games with mods, there's no requirement, there's no gun being held to your head that says, install the mod or you die. No, it's up to you to install mods or not. Mods only help a game. A lot of people wonder mods are a way for you to break games entirely or cheat your way through. Yeah, that's entirely possible, but not all mods have to do that. In fact, there are many mods that I have installed on my Skyrim copy, for instance, that aren't graphic related or anything. They're actually mods that create entirely new storylines, quest lines, new loot drops to actually end up going to, new ways to change the gameplay. In fact, I even have a mod that gets rid of this starting altogether and gives me 7 or 8 different starting points. And that's pretty impressive itself too. And modding has actually become quite easy for a select few games because of things like the Steam Workshop, where all you do is click subscribe and it just automatically puts the mod into your game without you really even touching anything else after that point. Modding to me is an essential part of gaming. And I personally hope modding makes it to consoles as well. I hope that the PS4 and the Xbox One and the Nintendo Wii U or the Nintendo NX or whatever other device that's going to come out on the market and stay there deserve some kind of a mod support to it. Because at the end of the day, these developers are taking mods into their own hand. There's a downside to everything, and let me tell you, with the way the systems are locked down, have you ever noticed how many DLCs come out nowadays? For example, with Saints Row 3 and Saints Row 4, where they tossed in arbitrary DLC packs, which really could have been user mods themselves. In fact, some of these DLC packs were so poor that I don't even think, you know, they were on the same quality that some mods are at. Let's face it, ladies and gentlemen, on PC Skyrim, there are mods that rival expansion packs to big games out there. And it just goes to show you how dedicated a community is for that game, and again, it keeps a game healthy and alive. For a lot of people to say that mods are bad and they shouldn't be allowed, again, we have to isolate what mods we're talking about. If you think mods that give players unfair advantages on network games or whatever, yeah, I totally agree with you. That's fucking douchey, and those people shouldn't be using those. But then again, those people are the same people that don't give a fuck what I'm saying, and they'll keep on doing it, so there's no point talking about it. But as far as modifications go for video games where we add stuff in, I don't fathom how anyone in the world thinks that is a bad thing. I really don't, and I know I'm not as opinionated as I am in a lot of these rant times, but this one really threw me for a curveball. I've really been actively sitting for the past 2.5 hours trying to think of a reason where modding your video games is bad. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if video game companies and video game manufacturers and publishers have fucked with heads enough to say this is a bad idea, but we as consumers need to stop and really think about it for a while. All mods do is add to your game. They don't take it away. Why do you think a lot of people consider the PC version of Skyrim or Fallout to be the great versions, play them over the PlayStation or Xbox version? It's not because they have the best graphics or the best frame rate. Let me be honest, Fallout on fucking PC looks like garbage, even if you set it to maximum settings. I'll be honest there, okay? That game just does not have the textures to hold up for PC. Same thing with Elder Scrolls games. They're fine looking if you look at it from a distance, but even if you set them to fucking 4K, which I played the games at 4K maxed out, they don't look any significantly better. I mean, they do look great, don't get me wrong, but they don't look fucking jaw-dropping. I mean, it's not like GTA 5 on PC, right? But what makes those games definitive on PC, and I'm not here to say that I'm a PC elitist or something, don't think that, I play on fucking everything. The only reason I say that is because those systems have mods on them. Now again, Fallout 4 for the Xbox One and PS4 is coming with mod support. I don't know how extensive the mod support is. I don't know how much the mods are going to be. I don't even know if they're going to be paid or free. I really hope they're not paid. That'd be fucking stupid. I made a video on that itself. But mods only enhance the game itself. Remember, if it wasn't for mods, all you're really left up to is what the developer wants to hand off to you. They might make their 3 expansion packs and say, well, we're done with it. That's it. But if you play a game modified, if the modding community is healthy, which for games like Skyrim, it is very healthy, there's millions of mods available, then that automatically sets you up for almost near infinite playtime. In fact, games like Minecraft wouldn't have been as popular as they were if they didn't allow for a lot of mods that you see today. Look at how customizable a game like Minecraft is. You can spend hours adding tons of mods to it and make it an entirely different game than it already is. You build upon that building block of a game, building block, no pun intended with Minecraft, and you create something that's not only entirely new, not only far beyond what the developer may have conceived for the title, but something that's also personal to you. And I think that's what it really means. Again, I come from this old world where I played a shit ton of PC as a kid, where many kids that I was growing up with played on their SNESs or the NESs or their Genesis. Not to say I didn't have those systems, I always did prefer my PC over the other things because, I don't know, I guess I just had a soft spot for Doom and Age of Empires. But it was the modding community that brought me closer to video games as it was. And as a kid, I also sat down and developed mods as well. Really small, you know, crappy mods, but mods nonetheless. It helped me build a life skill to this day, which is computer programming, and that's one of the career paths that I've taken in my life, and I was pretty decent at it. And to this day, you know, watching mods grow and watching new mods come out and being a heavy modder for the video games that I play myself, I can only see everything as positive. And maybe that's my problem, I'm just from a different perspective and everything, but it's really hard pressed to find one bad thing about player-created content. I just don't see the bad part of it. So let me know in the comments below if you agree with mods being bad in a way and it not being the developer's initial vision, even though that makes no sense because you don't have to fucking install it if you don't want to. And I might just be heated this entire rant time, but that's because I do have a genuine full connection to this topic. And also in this video, I do want to promote that modding is great, and I do want to hope that there are people out there that do want mods, not just on PCs, because I don't think mods should only happen on PCs. If developers create modding tools, then I think they should also focus on their console community as well. There are a lot of people playing on their Xboxes and PlayStations, and as a PC gamer, I would love if those console gamers that stick to those systems could enjoy even a little slice of the world of player-created content. I mean, a lot of people love games like Mario Maker, where you essentially create, I guess you could say, quote-unquote, mods, you know what I mean? Like, make levels of your own. And I'm sure many players exist where if you're playing something like Far Cry 4 or Far Cry 3, they might like it if somebody could add entirely new elements to that game itself. Shit, stuff like Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon is stuff that Total Conversion mods on PC do. So let me know in the comments below what you think about the whole modding situation. Do you want it coming to console? Do you not? Again, there are sort of concessions you have to make. Consoles aren't as featureful as PCs, so you have to run into a little wall, right? Like, how much can you really mod it without fucking up the game beyond repair? Because as great as mods are, we know that if you don't know how to mod something and you put way too many on there, you can fuck up the game entirely to the point where it doesn't even work anymore. So let me know what you think about the topic below. Again, I'm a little heated on it. I'm a little, you know, swaying one way more than the other, and that might not make for an interesting rant time video because I'm so heavily opinionated, but again, I do think that bringing out the real emotion behind it definitely makes for a truthful video, if anything. So let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. This has been a rant time on the modding situation. I know I let a little outburst in the beginning. Sorry for that. This is me, Mutahar, and I'm out.